a car that I love. It's a Mercedes, a 2007 Mercedes ML63 AMG. It's got the largest naturally aspirated V8 engine ever put in an SUV. But this is a big, rumbling V8 6.2 fucking liter engine. And on the top of the manifold in this vehicle is a plate. And the man who built that engine signed it. All right, let me ask you, what are you willing to sign off on in your life? Built by your name. I'll take full accountability for that. That's mastery. That's when we can lay our head down at night and say, I can die complete. So aspiration 16, as of now, reads, I aspire to live a life of character and self-respect, guided by a moral compass of my own creation. Now, this series of lessons, it's turned out to be a three-part series. Sometimes the stuff I do kind of takes a life of its own, has been challenging. I've often lived without self-respect, and therefore I've let other people treat me without respect. So this is personal, these lessons. And I really started working on the lesson last week while I was in Austin, Texas for a week. I had a great week there, got together with some great men, did some in-person interviews, did a peyote ceremony, went to work on a new tattoo of a raven to represent my father. And it was a great week. And also just putting together this lesson on self-respect. And it was challenging for me. I spent many long walks around East Austin. That's a cool neighborhood. I mean, all the UT students are hanging out there, all the food trucks and barbecue places and bars. And it's a great place to go walking. And it was challenging for me because of the very fact that I haven't always lived with self-respect. And as different pieces came to mind of how this would fit, how I would teach it, I kind of got pulled in different directions. And that's why I decided, okay, let's do it as a three-parter. So I did one part on that alpha call last week while I was in Austin around developing personal character. And this was a challenge lesson for me to write or to give, mainly because I've never really liked that term character or personal character. Maybe because I don't like people telling me what to do, or maybe I didn't have my own personal character, or maybe the people preaching personal character, I didn't personally look up to them as people I'd want to emulate. And what I realized was that maybe I was uncomfortable with the idea and term of living with personal character is because I didn't. And so we did something really cool. And if you weren't on either of the two previous calls, either Alpha last week, Zeta earlier today, go back and listen to the recordings. I'm sure Henrik will have Zeta up within the next 24 hours or so. But the Alpha call is already up. And what we did is, if you've done any of my dating essentials for men work, you know about the 5 and 5, where you create a list of what your really great woman looks like. So you know what you're looking for. And if you find a woman who has the potential, but more importantly, you rule out women who don't have the potential to be a really great match. Okay. And the 5 and 5, just a piece of paper, line down the middle. Left side is have to haves, right side is won't tolerate. And so for a woman to be a really great match, to be a really great woman, she has to have all the traits you have listed on that left side of the paper. She has to be available, loving, passionate, considerate, giving, generous, whatever your traits are. 5's not magic. It could be 8, it could be 12. But I find it's best if you do kind of hone it down to the really core basics of what you want. I mean, if blonde and big boobs is on have to have, you're probably asking for more problems than actual, resolution of problems. And so have to have. Right side of the page is won't tolerate. And sometimes that's just the flip side of have to have. Have to have honesty, won't tolerate dishonesty. But sometimes it's different. So it gives you a different perspective. So we took that idea and applied that to our own personal character. If you are living with personal character, what are the have to haves? What does that look like? And what are the won't tolerate, won't accept? What is outside of your personal character? And this personally was a pretty powerful exercise for me. I did this in my journal, probably came up with about 12 have to haves for me to be living in my personal character, and 12 won't tolerate. If I land on any of those behaviors or any of those pieces there, I'm out of character, right? I'm not living by my North Star. So that was part one. So go check out that recording. This morning on the Zeta call, we got to part two. And we talked about how we lose or give up our self-respect. And I said there's three primary ways we tend to lose or give up our self-respect. One is pursuing outside of ourselves from other people. The respect of others, the approval of others, the love of others, the regard of others, the likes of others. We lose our integrity that way. We lose our self-respect. Pursuing these things from other people basically projects the message, I'm not enough. You have what I want. And then to stop pursuing is to claim, I'm enough. I'm complete. I have what the world wants, and the world has to earn it or respect me for what I've got. So the pursuing. The second one was tolerating. Anytime we tolerate a behavior, we're going to end up with what we tolerated. Now, this applies to both people and situations outside of us, but to ourselves as well. And in my message is we don't let other people treat us bad, but other people can't treat us with more respect than we treat ourselves. So we better be treating ourselves well. Don't tolerate your own disrespect. Your ruminations, your criticism, your negativity, your comparisons, your judgments, that's all lacking personal self-respect. And then the third way that we lose or give up our self-respect is through neglecting ourselves. We invest in which we value. We're going to talk more about that in this lesson. If you invest in yourself, it implies you're valuable, you're worth something. And so to live with self-respect, we have to treat ourselves like we are someone we care about, and that invites other people to do the same. Okay, part three of the series. I want to talk about hard work. And I've broken this down into three parts. I'll get to those in just a minute. I want to give you a couple quotes first. One of them I came across when I started working on the lesson is by George Bernard Shaw. And he said, no man who is occupied in doing a very difficult thing and doing it very well ever loses his self-respect. Man, that's a quote you could like get tattooed on your arm to remind you. No man who is occupied in doing a very difficult thing and doing it very well, mastery, we're going to talk about that, ever loses his self-respect. Another quote, kind of looking at it from a different angle, by David Goggins. By the way, I started listening to David Goggins' audiobook on some of my walks around Austin. Man, that first chapter is just some gnarly shit. I kind of had to take a break from it for a little bit. This quote is, doing mediocre work comes from a lack of self-respect. When we mail it in, when we do it halfway, when we're less than masterful, that is coming, according to David Goggins, from a lack of our own personal self-respect. All right, we're going to pull those two quotes together in this lesson. All right, premise of part three of this lesson is that self-respect comes from hard work. And I've broken this down into three parts. Self-respect comes from embracing challenge. Self-respect comes from not settling for less than mastery. And three, self-respect comes from investing in self. Okay, let's take a look at number one. Self-respect comes from embracing challenge. And maybe see if you can do this in two sentences. One sentence, what is the hardest thing you've ever done? Second sentence, how did you feel about yourself once you got through it? So I put completing No More Mr. Nice Guy. I was challenging, took a while. And I felt complete. Like, yeah, okay, I've completed what I'm here to do. I've done much more since, but I had a sense of completeness about that. And by the way, one of the reasons that pushed me to complete it, my son and stepson were like about 14 and 15. They were teenagers while I was writing it. And they kept saying, Pops, when are you going to finish the book? People need it. We got friends that need your book, Dad. And, I wanted to be a good role model for my boys. I wanted them to see me complete something of value. It was challenging. Let me read some of these. Half marathon, felt amazing after finishing. Got a complex drug device combination approved by the Food and Drug Administration. He still feels awesome about it. I wrote a novel to overcome my fear of failure. I felt giddy when I finished it. Making a film felt amazing. Chose to get divorced, felt horrible at first, but deep down I knew it was the right thing to do. Moving family to a different state for a new job. Moving to the USA alone from Peru to study dentistry. Wow. Losing over 100 pounds as a teenager. I felt really good until I put some of it back. Graduated with an electrical engineering degree. Felt proud and relieved. Moved out of my mom's. Free, free at last, free at last. Oh, I love it. Okay, I'm going to ask you to kind of let's flip it for a minute. When, maybe recently, when have you taken the easy way out in the face of a challenge? One line. What was the easy way out you took, and how did you feel about yourself for that? Can you think of a way you took the easy way out, and how'd you feel? We gotta get real here. Not telling the truth, shitty. Yeah, I'll second that one. That's a way that I have a tendency to skirt away from challenge, and it feels shitty. Cheated on my wife to get my desires met. Fucking horrible. Dating low-hanging fruits. That's plural there. How many fruits are we going to date? Capitulating to my ex-wife when I know she was wrong, just a people pleaser, felt awful. Chose porn instead of go out and learn how to talk to women. Felt like a piece of shit. Cheated on a test. Felt not qualified. You guys are amazing. You guys are fucking amazing. The thing is, I love you guys even more when I see your vulnerability, that you'll post these things where basically you cheated on you, right? We cheated on ourselves. When we do the challenge, when we lean into it, when we embrace it, when we follow through, even when we welcome it, we come out the other side with a sense of completeness, wholeness, fulfillment, satisfaction, happiness, freedom. And look, every time we back down from challenge, took an easy road, took a secret road, took a hidden road, took whatever road was the easiest path to take, we feel like shit. We feel like shit. Thank you guys for sharing both sides of that. Again, I love your vulnerability. I mean, really, I'm not just saying that. I love that. So self-respect is found through challenging ourselves and doing the challenging things. There is no easy way. Have you ever noticed when I talk about Great Cake of a Life, there's a few things in there that are about challenge. One is to lean into challenge. That's when we're the happiest. Another is regular strenuous exercise. That's not easy. That's challenge. We've got to challenge ourselves to be happy and be at our best. The benefits of doing hard work and embracing challenge, I mean, there's many. You'll train yourself to enjoy the process of overcoming obstacles, not just the outcome. You'll stand out from the crowd. Think about that. When you do the right thing, when you lean into challenge, you stand out, and then maybe you have actually a greater respect and approval from people than you would get if you were chasing their respect and their approval. And we'll be healthier, more productive as we meet challenges in our life. We're just going to feel better about ourselves. Okay, 2, self-respect comes from not settling for less than mastery, less than living masterfully. Another David Goggins quote: until you start feeling a sense of pride and self-respect in the work you do, no matter how small or overlooked those jobs might be, you will continue to half-ass your life. So he's talking about taking pride and self-respect in the little things, doing them well. I've seen Jordan Peterson interviews about the same thing. Talking to young people at your first job, maybe it's just serving hamburgers in a fast food. And he talks about how can you do that extra job, clean the counters extra well, be extra kind and respectful to the customers, volunteer for more work with your manager. How do you take that pride and do, even if you're just flipping burgers, how do you do it masterfully? Masterfully just means we're going to do everything to the best of our ability. And, when you start doing everything to the best of your ability, you're suddenly the kind of person who does everything to the best of their ability. And the masculine in us, we've got masculine and feminine energies. The feminine is externally validated through praise, value, desire, attention. Masculine is internally validated through masterful action. Going back to what we posted in the timeline, when we perform masterful action, even if we bumbled our way through it till we figured it out, we felt good. When we were less than masterful, we felt shitty. Now, mastery doesn't mean perfectionism. Doesn't mean you got to get things perfect, because most of the perfectionists I know don't ever get anything done because they're stressing so much about how they've got to do it perfectly. We internally validate through masterful action. And I know everything I've done that originally scared me, overwhelmed me, or I had dread about, when I developed, okay, bring it. I'm going to learn how to do this, whether it was shooting videos, using my 4K cameras to shoot videos for my online classes. I had no fucking idea even how you work the cameras. I said, I'm going to get masterful at it. When it was deciding I was going to hire a nutrition coach, and she told me I was going to get masterful by counting macros and calories in an app. And I got good results when I got masterful at tracking my macros. Building Integration Nation. I had, few ideas of how to go about doing it. I tried various things on a smaller scale, but creating something like Integration Nation, that was bigger than anything I'd ever attempted. And my intention, and it still is, do it masterfully. I may not do it perfectly, but I'm going to do it masterfully as hell. And I'm going to learn from every mistake, every stumble, every misstep, every experiment that doesn't work out the way I thought. That's how we get masterful. I've got a car that I love. It's a Mercedes, a 2007 Mercedes ML63 AMG. You guys probably have heard about my car. It's parked up at my mom's house up in Seattle. Here's a cool thing about that car. Number one, it's just fucking fast. It's got the largest naturally aspirated V8 engine ever put in an SUV. Right, faster than a Porsche. Now they put a lot of biturbo stuff like that in them, but this is a big rumbling V8 6.2 fucking liter engine, and it's a beautiful ride. Now, one thing that's really cool about AMG is the specialty shop for Amazon for Mercedes. What I'm saying. And they're built in Germany. AMG is the first three initials of the three engineers that started the company. So it's an engineering company. And on the top of the manifold of this big old motherfucking engine in this vehicle is a plate. And the man who built that engine signed it. Signed it. All right, let me ask you, what are you willing to sign off on in your life? Built by your name. I would hope that everything we'd be willing to put our signature on it and say, I'll take full accountability for that. That's mastery. That's when we can lay our head down at night and say, I can die complete. I did my best. I'm still learning, but I brought my A game. That feels good. I still open the hood just to look at that signature sometimes. I wonder who that guy is. You can watch a video on YouTube. I watched it where they will show from start to finish a guy in the AMG factory in Germany building an entire engine to go in a Mercedes. It's kind of cool thing to watch. Mastery, just watching how it's done masterfully. All right. Number 3 for self-respect is investing in self. At its core, self-respect is self-care. Like I said before, we invest in that which we value. If you value your partner, you're going to invest your time and energy and attention. If you value you, you're going to invest your time, attention, energy, and your money. Maybe it's trimming your fingernails, shaving and bathing. I shaved and trimmed my beard and took a bath just before I got on this call. You wouldn't know, but I know. Oh, I brushed my teeth too. Taking care of your clothing, getting sleep, exercise, nutrition, rest, and relaxation. Investing in yourself implies you're fucking worth something. That's self-respect. So I'm going to give you guys a challenge. Now, one thing I know about nice guys, we're notoriously cheap. And we're especially cheap with ourselves because we don't value ourselves, our needs, our wants. Well, I mean, we'll spend money on other people, we'll buy gifts for other people, we'll invest our time in other people, but in us. When I split with my second wife, one of the things I did with my book advance for No More Mr. Nice Guy is I went out and bought a 2001, it's 2-year old BMW CI 330. So a 3-point-liter engine and a small 2-door coupe BMW. Fast, fun car. I got depressed when I bought it. I didn't leave my house for 2 weeks. I was so depressed. I would have happily bought that car for my ex-wife to make her happy. But when I bought it for myself, I was filled with fear and dread. And I'm not good enough. And who am I? And what shit am I going to get for this? And actually buying that BMW was actually the beginning of a transformation in my life where I began taking good care of myself and investing in me. I thought, oh, when my ex finds out I bought a BMW, she's going to go ballistic. Or when my clients see me driving a BMW, they're going to say, oh, you must be charging too much if you're driving a you're driving a Beamer. My ex never said a word. And all my clients said, hey, cool car. Not one of them went off on me. It felt good. So my challenge, where can you invest some money in yourself? Put some skin in the game. Getting a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, like I did recently, that has paid off. Investing in a men's program, I'm glad you guys are here. Getting therapy, that's not cheap. I've spent 100 grand on therapy in my lifetime. One of the reasons I'm sitting here talking to you right now is I made that investment. I mean, get a manicure, get a good haircut, get your clothes professionally laundered and pressed, hire a house cleaner, take a good vacation by yourself, do a Tony Robbins seminar, go to the dentist, the chiropractor, massage therapist, a doctor for a physical. Invest some money in yourself in the near future. Make a commitment. It may make you anxious because we're not used to that kind of thing, but it implies you're worth something. You respect yourself. You're valuable. When you invest in yourself, it shows up as confidence and self-respect. And the more you invest in yourself, I promise you, the more it will pay for itself. Anything you invest in self-care and self-improvement and self-advancement, it will pay for itself. I promise you. And you'll go, wow, where'd this extra money come from? I've been spending money. Every time I've hired a new employee, it paid for itself. Every time I got a coach, it paid for itself. Every time I got an accountant, financial advisor, I had more money. Funny how that works. Investment pays off with more money to invest. And investing in yourself with your pocketbook, with your credit card, challenges your self-limiting beliefs that you are not worth anything. So to wrap up, aspiration 16. I aspire to live a life of character and self-respect, guided by a moral compass of my own creation. Now, a way to sum it up, you probably have heard me say oftentimes, nothing hidden, nothing half-assed. Well, I've added a third page, nothing hidden, nothing hurtful, nothing half-assed. That is self-respect. I'm not hiding anything. I'm living with character. I'm not letting me or anybody else hurt me. That's self-respect. And I'm not doing anything half-assed. That's leaning into challenge and living masterfully. Perfectionism is the enemy of good enough. And if you think about that, it is. Well, I got to get it perfect. So we never get it done, or maybe we procrastinate or we don't follow through. And so when I say mastery is not perfectionism, it's not like I got to be perfect. It's just like, to me, it's more of an attitude that I welcome a challenge. I welcome a challenge and that I will respond with a progression of, of masterful actions. For example, I do have an intention, and it's in my 2-year letter to myself, of learning to play play the 12 bar blues, both rhythm and lead. Now, we'll ever play that, like BB King or oh, my mind's going blank. Gary Clark Jr., John Mayer. No, I'm never going to play like those guys. I mean, they're amazing. They're amazing. But if I have the attitude that I'm going to get proficient, I'm going to get masterful at playing a riff, right? One riff, one progression of chords. Just it's an attitude almost more than anything else that says, all right, I'm going to bring my best to it and I'm going to play it and get good at it and be proud of myself for it. Will anybody ever want to hear me play it? Doesn't matter. So I don't know. I don't know whether you need to break it down into too many finite words, but yeah, I think proficiency, mastery, think of it as an attitude, not even so much an end result. And so when you're struggling with that chord or struggling to get your fingers over to that seventh or whatever it is, go, okay, I'm gonna keep doing it until I master it. Right. And it's just an attitude. You and I are having this conversation today. We're on this call today. You read my book because I cheated. That's how it all started. Actually, I cheated more than once before it all started. I cheated and it ended my first marriage. I married the woman I cheated with, and then I cheated on her about 2, 3 years in the marriage because I wasn't getting my needs met. And I was a nice guy, and I didn't know how to be direct, and I didn't know how to be a good ender. And it was short lived. She found out, confronted me, said, "You're not a nice guy. Everybody thinks you're a nice guy. You need to get help." And I thought, well, you're the one's unhappy all the time. But I went and got help and I landed in good places and I did my work. And I've been doing my work for the last 30 plus years since that happened. And because of that event, it was the big stick that woke me up, got my attention, got me on a different path. And because of that, you get to tell me tonight that you cheated. Because if I hadn't gone down that path, we wouldn't be talking right now. So I put that in a context that, okay, welcome to the club of okay, you fucked up. You fucked up. And you got a lot of work to do. And sometimes it's those fuck ups that get our attention and change our direction and help us pivot into actually just living on better terms and living a more fulfilled life with more character and a greater roadmap to lead us where we want to go. It sounded like it helped you find perhaps my book or my material or this place, maybe some interviews of me. So that fuck up is your open door to you becoming the man that you're here to be. So welcome to the club of a bunch of fuck ups. We all have our different kind of fuck ups, but if we can be open and vulnerable with each other, we can support each other to level up to the best version of ourselves. So I don't have really any other advice for you right now than get connected with men. That is the best way to get your fundamental needs met. When I was a marriage therapist, I told couples all the time, the best thing you do for your marriage is create good same-sex relationships. So I'd say let go of trying to save your marriage, save you, and get connected with men. Learn to be authentic, honest, transparent, conscious, set the tone for your life, invest in you. And if those are the things that make your wife more attracted to you and make her want to be a better person, great. If it actually becomes a bigger division between you because you're taking good care of you, great. Let go of the attachment and start charting a path that leads you to being the best version of you. And we're here cheering for you.